The restaurant had gone completely silent before I even reached the table. I could feel dozens of eyes watching me, waiting for the moment I would laugh, walk away, or make the kind of cruel joke that would become another story people whispered about for years. My co-workers had convinced me to go on a blind date, promising they had found the perfect woman for me. But the second I saw the woman sitting alone near the window, I realized this wasn't a romantic surprise at all. It was a test, a prank, or maybe something even worse. She was a beautiful soul hidden behind a body that society judged far too quickly, and the sadness in her eyes told me she already knew exactly what everyone expected me to do. Little did anyone know that the decision I made in those next few seconds would leave the entire room in tears. If you believe kindness is more powerful than appearances and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that compassion can change lives. My name is Nathan, and I lived in Columbus, Ohio. I had spent most of my adult life working as an architect, quietly rebuilding old neighborhoods while trying to rebuild my own heart after a painful divorce. My coworkers often teased me for being too serious and thought setting me up on a blind date would finally get me back into the dating world. They refused to show me a picture beforehand, insisting they wanted everything to be a surprise. Looking back, should have realized they were hiding something. When I entered the restaurant that Friday evening, I immediately noticed a woman sitting alone with nervous hands wrapped around a glass of water. Her name was Rebecca. She had soft brown hair, warm eyes, and the kind of smile that looked beautiful even though it seemed afraid to appear. She was obese, and judging by the expressions on the faces around the room, that single fact was apparently all anyone thought mattered. I noticed a few people from my office pretending not to stare from another corner of the restaurant, waiting to see how I would react. Rebecca slowly stood when she saw me approaching. Before she could even greet me, I noticed her shoulders tense as if she were preparing herself for rejection. That broke something inside me. No one should ever become so familiar with cruelty that they expect it before hearing a single word. Instead of walking away, I smiled warmly, pulled out her chair, and thanked her for waiting. The shock on her face lasted only a second before relief quietly replaced it. The first hour passed so naturally that I forgot why I had been nervous in the first place. Rebecca wasn't just intelligent, she was hilarious. She volunteered every weekend at an animal rescue center, mentored children struggling with reading, and somehow found reasons to laugh despite years of people treating her as though she were invisible. She admitted she had stopped believing in dating because too many men looked at her body before they ever looked into her heart. Listening to her story made me realize how often people mistake appearance for character. As dinner continued, I noticed my coworkers slowly stop laughing. Their smiles disappeared as they watched two strangers genuinely enjoying each other's company. They had expected embarrassment. Instead, they witnessed respect. They had expected rejection. Instead, they saw connection. Somewhere during dessert, one of them quietly left the restaurant, unable to continue watching what they had intended as a cruel joke become something meaningful. Over the next several weeks, Rebecca and I continued meeting. We explored parks across Ohio, visited museums, and spent long afternoons volunteering together. The more time we shared, the more I discovered qualities no photograph could ever capture. She encouraged frightened shelter dogs until they trusted people again. She comforted lonely senior citizens in nursing homes. She remembered birthdays, celebrated small victories, and somehow made everyone around her feel seen. I realized that true beauty wasn't something you noticed in a single glance. It revealed itself little by little through kindness, patience, and love. One afternoon, Rebecca finally confessed something she had never told anyone outside her family. Years earlier, she had survived a terrible car accident that left her with permanent injuries. Limited mobility, years of surgeries, emotional trauma, and medications had caused dramatic weight gain. People who judged her appearance never knew the battles she had already won simply by waking up every morning determined to keep living. Hearing her story filled me with admiration rather than pity. She wasn't weak. She was one of the strongest people I had ever met. Months later, our office hosted its annual charity banquet. This time, I invited Rebecca as my guest. The same co-workers who had once laughed now watched as she received an award for her volunteer work with children and rescued animals. One by one, several of them approached her with tears in their eyes to apologize for the cruel assumptions they had made. Some admitted they had helped organize the blind date as a joke and would regret it for the rest of their lives. Rebecca accepted every apology with the same grace that had first captured my heart. Forgiveness, I realized, was another form of strength. Standing beside her that evening, I understood something I wished everyone could learn. The world spends too much time measuring waistlines, clothing sizes, and appearances while overlooking courage, generosity, loyalty, and compassion. Hearts don't become beautiful because they fit society's expectations. They become beautiful because they continue choosing kindness after experiencing pain. Before we reach the end of this story, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and share one act of kindness that changed your life. Your story might inspire someone who desperately needs hope today. A year after that unforgettable blind date, Rebecca and I returned to the very same restaurant where strangers had once expected humiliation. This time, the room became silent for an entirely different reason. I knelt down, held her hands, and asked her to spend the rest of her life with me. She said yes through tears, and many of the people around us began crying as they applauded. Even the restaurant manager admitted he remembered that first evening and had never forgotten how a simple act of respect transformed the atmosphere. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what message you took away from today's journey. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin exactly where the world expects them to end, proving that when we choose compassion over judgment, we don't just change someone else's life, we change our own forever.